Good evening, everybody. This is the August 14th meeting of the 2017 of the Nottingham Conservation Commission. My name is Sam Demerit. I am the chair of the commission. To my left is Susan Mooney, the secretary. To my right is Raylene Shippey Rice, and to Sue's left is Liz Katowski, who will be sitting in, I guess, for Deb Kimball, because Deb is not here tonight.
Thank you.
We have a number of people tonight. Yeah, Cheryl contacted me later this afternoon and said she would be unable to make it. So
Okay.
I think this is what we have tonight.
Okay.
But it's a quorum.
We have a quorum, so. And it is, at this point, about 7 minutes after 7. I don't really have, let's see. It's the one major announcement I have is that the newly hired person at Bear Paw Regional Greenways is given her notice, and she will be working for some outfit down in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one who just started last year?
Yes.
What was her position?
Hmm?
What was her position?
I don't remember the exact.
Assistant to the executive director?
Well, that's
No,
not, that wasn't
she
the.
had a land
Yeah, the land-
easement,
The land,
she had a specific
land
title.
conservation, something. And she was helping to, and she will continue to help with the process that Bear Paw is going through to get accreditation from the Land Trust Alliance. And she'll stay on until that point.
That's what they've been fundraising for, to fund that position.
Yeah,
So say that again. Bear Paw is applying for what?
accreditation with the Land Trust Alliance. It's something that makes them more,
Is that a national, regional?
yeah, national. It's a national organization.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So they're gonna be looking to hire someone,
I expect,
point, do you
I expect so.
the funding is still in place for the
Yeah,
position?
they raised, I don't remember just how much they raised now from but I think it was around at least $25,000 at the latest breakfast in the barn. And so there'll probably be enough money in there to, by the time they hire somebody, who'll carry them through the year. Okay, next on my agenda is the report of the meeting with the planning board about the dark skies presentation, which did not take place because the presenter was unable to make the meeting. Next I have trail.
We might say something at that point, though, that there's some information on that topic that is going up on the website
Yeah.
about the Dark Skies Initiative.
Yes, and the outline of his presentation that he gave to the Conservation Commission at the January meeting
Right.
Has been posted as well.
So anybody who's interested in that topic has something to read at this point.
How do we
online.
get that out? How do we publicize that those materials are available?
Well, I imagine,
Like we
does,
just did.
on the town website.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
On the town website, doesn't it have like news and new things that have been posted? Does she do something like that?
I don't know, but periodically, every 2 months, I do news for Planning Board and Conservation
Yeah.
Commission. And I'll certainly reference that.
Right,
A
but
lot
I
of
mean,
people do read the news in the
right,
newsletter,
no, but I
so
mean
that's
on a
good.
kind of an ongoing, we flag it, but then it goes in the, if
I
there's
think
not a
people who are
flag
interested
somewhere,
do
we'll
that.
find it, yeah.
And will Jesse be rescheduled, or what do you think?
Hopefully,
Yeah.
Okay.
hopefully, he said that in his email that he would look forward to rescheduling. And
Right.
I just told him to be in touch with Joanna, who's the land use clerk,
Great.
for doing that. And I suggested the 2 September dates because the 24th, the 23rd planning board meeting is booked with an application.
Right,
So
23rd is this application that we, or it's the public
Yes.
hearing for the application we received today.
Yes, but the two September dates for planning board would be September 13th and September 27th.
So one of those presumably.
Yeah, 13th would be better. Impact fee, public hearing is scheduled for the 27th, so that could be short or it could be involved.
Okay. Close this door over here.
Yeah, please.
Bring my phone. So the presentation is tentatively scheduled for September 13th or 27th?
No, it's not.
Oh,
I
possible dates.
I emailed Jesse and said those are the two dates that the planning board was meeting in September, to please contact Joanna, land use clerk, to reschedule.
13th and 25th,
13th and 27th.
27th.
Okay. Next on my agenda was trail mapping, but I don't know if we want to go in that first, or should we? Do you want to talk about the, this application and, what we just,
What is that, Sam?
that's the one, the one that's going to the planning board on when? the
Oh,
20
On the 23rd of
Oh,
August.
next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we really haven't made any progress with trail mapping. What we've done is we've
Yeah.
walked two properties
Right.
since our last meeting. And when we review the minutes, we can discuss what we did for the
Okay.
public.
Okay.
Postpone.
The easements that we've been working on are still in process with Bear Paw. It's the Shippey Rice easement, the Tenenco easement, and the
Kennard.
Kennard easement. And there's-
Do we
there-
have all, do we have all the finances in place to schedule a public hearing with the Board of Selectmen?
I don't think we have a final yet on all of them.
Determination?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
There's some of them, you know, we've voted to, up to, 8,000 for the, survey of the, Tenenco piece.
Tenenco, yeah.
But, it depends on what the actual survey
Okay.
is, so, we don't have a final figure.
But those can all be reviewed by the selectmen at the same meeting.
Yes, yes, and they do want the paperwork prior to the meeting, so they're
Mm.
just not,
Going in blind.
yeah.
Okay, I just came from the LRWA meeting. They're still deciding when the annual meeting's gonna be. They've had a problem apparently scheduling Thursday nights over at the Grange in Lee. So they may look at the last Friday in, right now we're looking at the last Friday in October. So, that's not scheduled yet. That's
On
just-
Friday, you said?
But they're looking at it. They have to check with the Grange and,
So maybe sometime in November, you said? What did you say?
no,
October?
the last Friday in October,
Possibly.
Okay, that'd be the 27th,
yeah.
is a possibility, okay. I'm gonna put that in pencil, Sam,
Yeah,
because I'd
yeah,
like to
yeah,
go.
yeah. Everything in here is in pencil. Let's see, correspondence, I got, saved the date, September 22nd, for the New Hampshire SFI Implementation Committee. Invite you to a field day about state-owned land certification on September 20th, 2nd in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The day starts at 8:30 with registration at the New Hampshire Division of Forest and Lands North Country Resource Center, apparently up in Lancaster, with formal program beginning at 9. Following lunch will be field tours of recent recreation, fisheries, and forestry management occurring on Nash Stream. Tours conclude at 4 p.m. There's no indication of if there's a cost or not.
Is there a visit to Nash Stream?
Yeah.
That's a nice area.
Charlie Levesque, partner at Innovative Natural Resources Solution LLC, will provide an auditor's perspective at the field visits. Specifically, he will talk about how the SFI standard would apply to resource management occurring.
Can I just grab that for a couple?
I'd be interested in
Bites.
taking a look too.
We got 2 of them for some reason. I didn't see who they were addressed to.
This is to Dirk and the planning board.
Oh, why did they get in ours?
Maybe
It just
it's
says
like-
Town of Nottingham and somebody,
Yeah.
they were probably stuck together.
Probably gonna put one in the planning board folder then.
Doesn't appear to have a cost, but
It doesn't say there, but it also like it goes to, just to check at the website.
yeah,
Okay,
it'd be interesting.
I'm down in minutes of, what was it? What's we supposed to do?
Sustainable. I just want to, I'll copy this down. Sustainable Forestry Initiative. People on the Society of American Foresters earn 1 CFE credit and 8 New Hampshire Professional Loggers Program certification credits. Oh, so that's good. Thank you, Sam. There was no intents to cut or anything?
No.
August.
Okay, I'm now down to minutes of previous minutes and walks.
I have 4 sets.
Previous meetings, I guess, that should be.
Let's see, 10, 7, July, and July 24th. All right, first I have our regular meeting. Raylene, do you have those minutes?
From our
on
last
your
meeting,
compu-
yes.
On your computer? Okay. Here we go, thank you, yeah. And then do you have your own?
Yeah, I printed out my own of all
Okay.
these. Which one do you want to do first?
July 10th.
Capital L in Lamb.
Mm-hmm. You know, my computer, I think, does that, but I'm not paying attention.
That was a very dense report on Mark West's presentation.
You know, we had asked him to send along that table of contents
Right, yeah.
document, and I realized when I was typing up the minutes that he hadn't done that. So I sent out an email today asking him to send that along.
I think it'd be good to put this minor point, but just to put some space in between the paragraphs on the thing about, on the section
For all
about.
of the wetland applications?
Yeah, that whole thing, it's so tightly packed,
Yeah, I
it'd
just-
be a little more readable, I think. I know why you
And-
didn't, but I still think.
Okay.
And were we going to schedule a tutorial time? Did that get scheduled? We
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
should-
it.
We should do that. I'm just putting in next ticks here where I should,
Was there an answer to Paul's question about an assessment survey of,
not that I wrote down. I think that we can ask it as long as the planning board does not give a conditional approval. But then we can hire, or they can hire, an outside independent wildlife scientist.
at town cost?
No, at the applicant's cost.
At the applicant's
Oh,
cost?
yeah.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
the applicant bears all costs.
So it would be wise to do that on a case-by-case basis, depending on.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
In the paragraph that starts, Mr. West reviewed,
Mm-hmm.
wondered about just changing the sections that are in quotes to just have that last sentence read, required documentation and statements should include information about when the wetland was delineated, what its functions are there any rare species on the site, and the mitigation actions that we put in place. In other words, instead of, because those are all kind of questions without question marks, the way they're there, just to tighten it up a little bit with just a rephrasing of that. Should include information about,
Okay, so cross off the quotes.
and say, include information about when the wetland was delineated, instead of when was it delineated.
When the wetland was delineated.
Delineated. And what the wetlands,
Just the functions of the wetland?
what its functions are,
Why not just say
what the wetlands functions
The
are.
functions of the wetland.
The wetland functions
Functions are,
are,
any rare species on the site would be another thing, and the mitigation actions that will be put in place, or that are proposed. So just taking out of the phrasing of
What?
questions,
what mitigation, what the.
and the mitigation actions that are
Yeah.
proposed, or the proposed mitigation actions. Where you talk about town of Nottingham, do you generally capitalize town or not?
Generally,
This-
no,
This was I'm sorry, go ahead.
not as a usual thing,
Mhm.
unless it is for emphasis. The fellow that did our master plan,
Mhm.
did not like town capitalized all the time. I
Yeah,
thought it was.
people have preferences, I wasn't sure what our
And that's why
preference was.
I tend to back off on that. Raylene, what?
This business about the
Oh, I see one.
hunting on Ternenko property. Oh, that's right, it would, right, the decision was not to put it in perpetuity. Never mind. That was the reason to take it,
Well, it'd probably
to
be.
not go with his recommendation, was because it wasn't wise to put it in perpetuity because of the cottontails. Overpopulation.
And it might not always be New England cottontail habitat. It might have a different use
Right.
100 years from now. And it would just give future owners flexibility.
I thought that was what he was trying to prevent.
I think for the moment, he didn't want people on his property shooting bunnies.
Right.
And the language in the conservation easement said that the owners could post against hunting.
So he puts the bunnies in, and then the next owner does not post, they can shoot all the bunnies.
Well, I think that there needs to be a little bit more restrictions with the next owner. You know, written into the deed and on this project. I don't know what the language is, but
Because he said leave it as it was, because he thought that it would,
Well, there'd be a cost to, and a procedure in order to, he was looking to do it for that whole piece that's already protected, and that would require an amendment to the easement.
That would have been
Right.
expensive then.
yeah, that's lawyers' fees,
Oh.
review, a new deed, or an addendum to a codicil to the deed. It was just really involved.
oh, so it wasn't, okay, all right.
Yeah, and we-
I
he-
It was
was a
part
little
of his decision.
confused about what the final decision was on how
I
that,
think he decided to leave well enough alone.
oh,
Yeah, he could, because he can still post it, you know.
oh, okay.
And in that section about Ternenko and the easements, there's a sentence about 2/3 of the way down that says the original CE deed was reviewed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Could the next part be changed possibly to say, it states that the property owner can post that hunting and public access are not allowed during planting? Is that,
That.
post that
That-
hunting
well-
and public access are not allowed during planting?
Well,
Or is that not,
I don't think that was when the
no, it
hunting
doesn't go
was.
together. That hunting
Right,
is not allowed,
period.
and also can post.
oh, okay,
Hunting is not
okay.
allowed.
Okay, then that just needs to be clarified into two different, it doesn't make sense to me right now, but what you're saying does.
And can post against.
And no public access during planting.
And can post.
Can also post that public access is not allowed during
as public
planting.
that
Because they're
public
two
access
separate things, and the way they were linked there almost sounded like they went hand in hand.
Is not allowed
Yeah. And,
during.
down, the third sentence, or the third line from the bottom of that section,
15.
is that supposed to say plus or minus
Yeah.
acres?
I didn't
Okay.
do the shift,
Okay.
or I did and I shouldn't have.
Oh, that's, I kept looking at that, wondering what was wrong
The
with
equal
it.
sign, yeah.
That's what,
It was the shift thing.
Okay, when you get down to meeting minutes, should that be a separation from the trail mapping thing and it be in bold?
Yep, we need a new paragraph, it needs to be bold.
Yeah.
Where are we at, by the way, with the road maintenance concerns?
I don't know.
That hasn't moved ahead at all, probably? Okay.
I thought that Kristen had finished the list, but then Sam was going to do like an introductory explanatory
Mhm.
paragraph.
Okay.
And then send that along.
Mhm.
Are you-
Did I get the list?
You
The
should
list come
have.
up? Okay, I'll have to look at that then. I don't remember seeing it, so.
Are they still interviewing people for the highway job?
I think they're gonna wait for Chris Sterndale to come back from vacation.
Oh,
He's on
okay.
vacation the whole month of August.
Good for him.
And Paul Colby resigned a couple weeks ago. So then, that won't be posted until Mr. Sterndale returns.
I'm gonna miss him.
Yes, was a good resource.
Oh, and under the, they didn't move the supply shed. The Region 6, one of the Region 6 sheds that is, the Region 6 shed that we have to pick up the highway, sponsor highway equipment now is, we have to pick it up from the shed in Northwood. They didn't really move the shed. We had to pick it, used to have to pick it up at the office in Durham.
I know that, but you picked it up at a supply shed, or?
No, I picked it up at the office.
Okay,
I was picking it up at the office in Durham.
so,
So now we have to pick it up at the shed, the Region 6 shed in Northwood.
alrighty, so how do I do this?
I don't know.
Noted that and I didn't even have adopt or sponsor a highway program.
I have a quick question, because I think I had left the meeting when this happened,
Yeah.
when this discussion happened, where it talks about the intent to cut for Menham's Landing easement.
Yeah.
Was the town cutting that, doing the cutting, or
No,
how
no,
was it?
No, the Mendham's Landing Association is doing the cut. We don't own the property, so it's,
Okay,
we
it
just
says,
sold an
it
easement.
says deed held by the town of Nottingham,
Oh, no,
Conservation easement deed.
the easement deed.
so we need to say the
E-
easement,
CED,
that
CED.
easement held by the town of Nottingham to cut. We might mention in there that the cutting was gonna be taking place by, or,
What's the purpose of all
I
the
like-
cutting? Why are they cutting?
yeah, explain why the 45 acres are being cut and who, and
It's just a logging improvement. It says timber stand improvement.
okay, well, that would be good to mention, if somebody were reading the minutes,
Right, yeah, we
to
wanna-
just know why
Saying it's easement
45 acres
property.
of property on their easement were being cut. You to mention that
Right.
it's
For
the,
TSI.
well, mention who's doing it, which is the Mandam's Landing Association was doing it for forest management, or
Right.
whatever the purpose was.
I
Because
think
there
that's a
would be
good
no way of
suggestion.
really understanding the purpose of that on an easement otherwise.
Okay, hold on, let me get this down. Mendon Planning Association will be conducting a TSI on,
And to spell out TSI,
I will,
okay,
I don't need to do it here.
no,
On their CE properties. And what else did you say? You said something else that was good.
Or forest management.
just a minute, it
Oh,
was for forest management.
I assume that's
Yeah.
what it's for.
Yeah.
I mean, do we know what
So
it
this is not, it's not like they're cutting down all the trees on 45 acres, it's,
Right, well, that's what
It's
it
a-
sounds like.
No.
and it's a thinning.
That's what it sounds like, they're cutting 45 acres worth of
Right.
trees.
Apparently, in a
Clear
butter
cut.
to that property, came in and talked to Mr. Sterndale.
I
About
don't know
the
if he
timber
talked to, I don't know if he talked to Chris or whether he talked to the ladies in the office. I got notice from Dawn Murdo that she was complaining about the timber cut and
Other things.
and other things, possibly.
Nobody likes to see trees cut.
Yeah,
No, but
you don't.
possibly walking on her property.
Well, it's unclear whether this is clear cutting or whether
Yeah.
it's,
Well, none of these that come in say if they're gonna clear cut or not.
But anything that
I
has
just
to do with
assumed they
our
all were
easement, I'm just saying this
But no,
particular one, because it's our
that's
easement.
not best management to do that.
Yeah.
Best management practices, according to the New Hampshire Division of Forests and Lands, is to do no timber cut larger than 10 acres, no clear cut larger than 10 acres.
right, no, but, and somehow when it says to cut 45 acres.
Out of 50.
But we
right.
don't know, Raylene, we can't
Right.
write down what we think is
Oh,
gonna happen.
that's all we know is
We can
that
only
it says it's
report
gonna
what
cut
we are
45
given.
acres, okay.
And
So we don't know that it's for
So we,
forest
as
management or anything
easement
else.
holders, don't look at what the
They
practices
have a
are?
forestry plan with the conservation easement, so they need to follow that plan, and that's one of the regulations, or one of the documents that needs to be in
Which makes
place.
sense.
They
I just
can't
wondered
cut
for the
without-
public, since these minutes are
Yeah.
both for us and for the public, to use that as an educational opportunity to say, this is being
According-
done in accordance
Okay,
with
that sounds good.
the management
Right.
plan
Yeah.
under the easement. You know, just to
Right, so that
expand
people
that a
don't
little
have the
bit.
same
I wouldn't
reaction.
say that for any other intent to cut,
Right.
but because it's our easement and,
Right.
it'll help to jog our memory too, later on.
That's a good suggestion, plan. In place. Under the easement. How's that?
yeah.
Or under the terms of the easement, something like
Right.
that.
That's what you said earlier, that's good.
Okay, for the DOT sponsor highway, noted that Adopt a Highway supplies are now available at a supply shed in Northwood.
Right.
How's that?
Is it on Route 4?
Yeah.
And we could say that too, that it's now on Route 4.
On Route 4. You want me to say Region 6?
It's one of the sheds in Region 6. There's also one in Lee, which is the one a fellow down at the headquarters, the office in Durham said that he thought we would be picking them up, but then the letter came through and we're picking them up and be picking them up in Northwood.
Okay, so it hasn't moved the shed.
That hasn't
We're just
moved the
going
shed.
to a different shed,
We're just going to pick up the stuff at the shed rather
which
than.
is easier for you, isn't it?
Well, do you want me to just
It's
say
not that much difference.
Nottingham Conservation Commission will now be picking up their supplies?
Yeah, at the.
What?
Yeah, that's
At the
good.
shed, at the
At the-
DOT shed on
At the
Northwood.
Route 4 in Northwood.
At blah, 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 or I'll take care of that.
And under other,
Mm-hmm.
maybe put, Mooney will forward the Moose Plate Grant web link to members.
Web link,
Can we bullet those or something,
I can.
just to distinguish that they're, or space them, so they're two
Yeah,
different.
you could even take out other there, since you have above that correspondence.
And,
No, there was
Other.
correspondence, intents to cut, and then there were correspondence, other correspondence.
Right, but then down in the second item, you have other.
Yeah, that's not other correspondence, it's
It's
just
just other.
Oh, okay.
What, correspondence continued?
Whatever, whatever.
So they were
That's what's
both,
not
they were
confusing?
both correspondence?
They were
No,
both correspondence.
All three were correspondence?
No,
No.
other is just other.
How about just other correspondence?
I would just take the
No, it
other out
wasn't-
of
wasn't
correspondence,
wasn't
just take the other out of correspondence.
it wasn't correspondence. It
Then
was-
take other correspondence out there.
What was? We got a note on this.
Hmm?
You got a
No, no, no,
card
no,
on
no,
this.
no, I meant the other, this other is,
I know
this
that.
is correspondence other.
Yeah.
This is just other, but it's not correspondence.
I found it confusing, that's all.
Okay,
Yeah, the word
I
other
understand,
in the place.
Was the
I I have a thing on my agenda for other business, how about other business? How about
So
that?
can we just take
Other
the other out
business.
of correspondence?
I can do that. And how should
So that
I?
it's just correspondence and the other is other business, is other and implies other
What about the,
business.
what about the initial
Intends
correspondence?
to cut though.
You want to drop intends to cut down a line?
Was the DOT sponsor was a correspondence?
Yes,
Right, then I would just list that under correspondence. And,
So there are two things under
Right.
correspondence. One is intends to cut, one is the
Other correspondence.
communication.
oh,
So how do you want to do that, Raylene?
no, I guess that's fine. And then other business maybe. Just to clarify, yeah, it's confusing.
How about if I put correspondence, next line, intends to cut 2 bullets,
Great. Perfect.
then
and then,
other,
and then just,
under the.
other correspondence? Other communications?
No, other correspondence, yeah. It's just, or other, or clarify other business.
Right, here we
You
go.
could also say Mooney will forward the Moose Plate Grant web links to its members. So members can consider whether or not a grant proposal would be appropriate in the future.
Wordsmithing.
Are we good?
Yep.
3 more to go, girls and boy.
That might have been the
3
hardest
more to
one.
go?
Well, we've got
So we,
the July 24th
wait a
minutes.
minute, shall we make a
Do I have the
motion to
July
accept,
24th? I didn't see it.
accept the minutes of July 10th, 2017 as amended?
I would make that.
You will make that motion?
Would make
Can I
that
have a
motion.
second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Why?
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? The ayes have it.
All righty. Next one.
Where was that? What was that? I didn't see those.
I think I'm gonna make this,
What, the other minutes?
to file.
She sent out a bunch, bing, 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 this 4 sets of minutes this
Oh, I
week.
only had the
Two
July.
were for the easement walks, and those were in the same document. And then there were 2 separate ones where she had
Oh, okay. They were in the
minutes
same
for
document.
previous meetings.
So I have July 24th, which was our second meeting. Do you need one, Liz?
I'm okay on that, but I think
Okay.
Raylene might need it.
Okay.
No, if they were in the same document,
July 24th you have?
That was Mulligan and Miriam Daggett that were in the same folder on the same date, but I think these July 24th minutes were in a separate email.
I think this was the last one I did today.
I saw them earlier. Where did I see?
Yeah, it was, because I spelled my name wrong. Yeah, I sent this maybe
Oh,
about
here it
2
is. Mulligan
2
draft
o'clock.
minutes.
No,
That's the one?
No, this is the
July
July
24th.
24th.
July 24th minutes?
Oh, I just see a mistake already.
7:24. So the
here it
meeting
is.
on,
Okay,
I
I
don't
got
know,
it.
would it be helpful to indicate, like, for example, that this was, the July 10th was a regular scheduled monthly meeting, and that this one on the 24th was a workshop or an extra meeting or something like that?
I've done that in the past, but this was an additional meeting. I kind of snuck that thought in on the 3rd paragraph. The main purpose of this meeting was to have initial discussions to review, but I can put workshop at the top. I hesitate to call it a workshop. Because if we take votes, is it a regularly posted meeting? And then if it's not,
I thought you did post it.
they need to be posted. We do post them. But just, they need to be called a meeting, a posted meeting.
Mm-hmm. Another way to do this would be to take that line about the main purpose of this meeting and move that up to the first paragraph, or move it up before conservation easements
Mhm.
to indicate that that was why we held this special meeting or a workshop or whatever.
Mhm. So that whole first sentence up here?
Or at least, yeah, something like that. Purpose of this meeting to have initial
And then I'll
discussions,
just
review
then I'll
which
just
CE properties would benefit by improved parking, blah, blah, blah,
And
determine.
then I'll just repeat that. For the,
And which one are we looking at? Oh, 20.
Down under trail and access improvements for CE properties, you see that heading?
Okay, yep.
Yeah, there's, where she talks about the main purpose of the meeting, it seemed like,
Do you want to put additional July meeting?
yeah, something like that, just, we had too many things to discuss at the first one, as I recall.
Okay.
And then, so we say in the July 10th minutes that we were gonna table a topic to a later meeting.
Yeah.
And then this is the one that followed that, in which we actually did address the grant possibilities and the easements and.
Okay, and we down, on the second bullet, on the trail and access, isn't that supposed to be 3 kiosks similar to the one at the North River Preserve will cost an estimated $10,000?
Oh, a what kiosk?
3
3 kiosks would cost $10,000 or
No,
what?
one
But they-
cost
I
10,000.
thought one was 3,000, it started out as 3,000, then he was gonna add another 300.
Oh, yeah. So,
So 3 kiosks.
3 kiosks.
Yeah, good catch.
You're right, I had forgotten that.
And the next bullet, can we say publicly owned? Is that public owned?
And the parcel should
Parcels
be
probably,
small.
yeah, should be lowercase. Might, for simplicity in reading this, take out the acronym for NRCS WRP. It doesn't get used elsewhere in the document.
Okay.
And there's another CE parcel where the parcel can be lowercased. Right after that. Where you talk about town-owned parcels,
Yeah.
you could put hyphens.
Well, there's other ones too.
Yeah, I mean, there's several.
It wasn't picked up by the, spell check.
Yeah.
Was
Well,
the-
it's just, it was one of the, when,
Was the other town owned?
It's in a couple of
Oh,
places, in
yeah.
the third bullet and the fourth bullet,
Third bullet.
one in the fourth bullet, too.
You want private, you don't want
No,
private?
no,
you
no,
don't want
if you have an
privately owned.
LY, if you have an LY, like publicly or privately owned, then you don't put the hyphen in, that was the editorial
Oh, I
rule.
see.
When you use the,
Two in the
That's how
third,
that goes.
yeah, so it's like town-owned parcel, where town and owned serve as an adjective to the word parcel, then you would put it there.
so there's two in the third bullet and one in the fourth.
The other rule is,
Mhm.
just be consistent.
So if you're gonna spell separately wrong, spell it incorrectly, the whole, the
Exactly.
whole document.
Bingo.
I'm gonna add of a grant proposal in the fifth bullet.
Where?
I'm gonna add of a grant proposal. I'm gonna insert the word a.
Oh.
So it reads component of a grant proposal.
Oh, right.
Ooh, provides,
Should the town of Nottingham be capitalized?
no. It's one of those,
But if it's owned by the town of Nottingham, is that a,
but it's one of those, things that you can either capitalize or not
Oh.
capitalize.
'cause some,
Depending
I'll
on-
often see it capitalized, that's
Yeah.
why I wondered.
Because the entity, the official legal entity is town of
Oh, that's why I
Nottingham, with a
wondered.
capital T. Yeah.
It says deed held by the town of Nottingham.
The next page, Mulligan Forest Trailhead, trailhead can be lowercase.
Gotcha. Is TBD later redundant?
Yeah,
So just cross out later?
you could do that, yeah.
Oh, 10 feet by 10 feet.
Or at a later date.
I think that works.
Mm-hmm.
So the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the July 24th, 2017 meeting as amended.
I make that motion.
You make that motion.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? The ayes have it.
We have, August 7th, Mulligan Walk, excuse me.
I like the way on the other one, you put commission meeting minutes and then a date, although you had the format of the date differently. And then you have Miriam Daggett easement walk at the top. I think that would be good to put that Mulligan at the top of the minutes for the, you know what I mean? So Conservation Commission
Oh, yeah, yeah.
minutes.
I was trying to be consistent.
And then the date, and then Mulligan Forest easement walk. Just so when we glance at the top line, Mulligan jumps out. And however you do the date, with hyphens or otherwise, they should be the same.
Do you care?
I don't
Oh,
care.
generally, I write the whole,
Generally, you
date
write the whole
down.
thing out, but
So when we get
this
to
is
the-
nice and tidy, actually.
When we get to the Miriam Daggett, I'll make it August 10th.
August 7th.
No, 10th.
Oh, August 10th, yes, yes, yes,
For
yes.
Miriam Daggett.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do Mulligan first?
Yes.
Maybe, I like your introduction to this, but where you say survey/topo, maybe just spell out topographic in that first time.
Capitalized river.
I'm sorry? Wait,
Do you want to capitalize river and the North River runs through the property?
yeah, where are you?
Second paragraph, second sentence.
The bullet?
Wait, we're on the Mulligan.
Oh, it's the other one,
Oh,
it's
I
on
thought you
Mulligan
were on the
one.
Miriam Daggett.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing Mulligan,
Oh, I'm sorry.
August 7th.
I was gonna say, North River doesn't flow through that. Well, no, it doesn't. Moves along the edge of it.
map lowercase.
I need to put a quote. The end of,
You have town of Nottingham, you have capitalized town here,
I did.
which, my preference is actually to say town of Nottingham capitalized, because it's more of a legal
Mhm.
term, but whatever we do,
In this place, it should be capitalized.
yeah, I think it should be.
It's an easy to moderate range of difficulty for walking.
Yeah,
Easy to moderate range of difficulty for what?
for walking, yeah, it should say for walking, because we're talking, not for logging trucks. You mentioned in here the discussion that I don't see it, the discussion we had about ATV and motorized use on the, did you leave it out purposely?
No,
'Cause I remember that was a concern of Paul's.
I can add that.
Probably would be good.
Where exactly, I can just put it anywhere?
I'm trying to think.
Cellar hole, where are you, Liz?
Probably, it should be up.
I mean, we discussed
Did-
both
was-
the kiosk,
Was it where the
possible,
sign was knocked over? Remember there was a sign out there that was pushed over
oh yeah,
and
but that's not what I'm
twisted?
talking about. I'm talking about the gate when you first enter, how it's situated so that vehicles, small motorized vehicles can go underneath it,
Mhm,
but they're not really supposed to be allowed.
mhm.
And there is nothing that would indicate that they can't be there.
Yeah, within the property itself, there were a couple of signs.
Right, but if you're going in with an ATV, you gotta have that right there at the beginning, if you
Yeah.
don't want them in there. It can't be a mile down
So,
the trail.
so,
So we had a discussion about ATV or motorized vehicle access.
did we have it there at that point?
I
at the
remember
entrance?
standing there
Yeah.
talking about it, because we were looking at the
There
gate
might have been a
in
different,
particular.
couple
Yeah,
different
we- yeah, we-
conversations
yeah,
going on.
Maybe. Do you remember that, Sam?
Yeah,
Standing there talking about how
yeah,
that
how they
it
could,
was-
you know,
the
scoot
gate
on
was designed in such a way that it wouldn't prevent motorized vehicles from going underneath it, and that was a concern.
Do you want to send me a bullet to that effect, and I'll make that the new third bullet? About what that discussion was? I know that we talked about it at the sign that we noticed.
Yeah,
that
further
Celia
down.
had repositioned.
Right, later on, on the way out, we
That one I
talked about
remember,
that,
yeah.
sure. But there was I thought there was fairly lengthy discussion. Maybe you were chatting with somebody else about the existing kiosk or something like that, while some of us were talking
Yeah,
about
that could be.
the
There was
motorized
several-
access, because there were a lot of us
Several
there.
chats, yeah.
Yeah, but certainly, we had a discussion of the state of the current kiosk
Mhm.
and possible, what would be the ideal location for that,
Mhm.
and also, the access issue of that we weren't clearly indicating what the intended uses were of the property, and that at the moment, it kind of looked like an invitation to, use an ATV
Mhm.
or a dirt bike or something like that, because there was nothing that gave you a message that I saw, anyway, about no motorized.
Maybe at one time there was one on the kiosk, but,
Is it walking
Yeah,
only?
but you couldn't even walk to the kiosk because
Is
the.
it walking only?
yeah, it's pedestrian, yeah,
All
other than
I
when they're
think we
doing
all
the
agreed the
logging,
kiosk
it's-
needed to be in a
pedestrian.
different
So
location.
it would be
Well,
no
let's say-
motorized vehicles?
Yeah, no
It's too
motorized
difficult
vehicles.
to move.
Bicycles?
So let's just use it as an announcement, this is blah, blah,
I
blah
think it said no
property.
motorized vehicles.
And then all the information stuff will be in a new kiosk
Yeah,
at the other side of the gate. So will you send me a little, a bullet for that?
yeah.
And then I'll just insert that.
Okay, so we won't vote on these then, tonight.
Unless you want to write it now.
I can try to do that while you're moving along with that.
I hate postponing minutes because they bog down.
No.
Stu brought these, plans in,
Hmm.
and left them on the table. That's our copy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where it's been, but.
Well, this is, July they came in, I don't know.
But that was the email that we had gotten
Hmm.
from DES. And then he was dropping off, or somebody was dropping off a hard copy at the office.
Something like this, I don't know how this sounds to you, but
Uh-huh.
this kind of gets at what I was thinking. The group discussed several issues at the entrance to the property, including the condition and location of the kiosk and gate, and the need for signage indicating that the property was protected for non-motorized recreation. And feel free to wordsmith that.
Okay,
I just
yeah,
know.
I did, in the first bullet, it does discuss the present kiosk, and then a proposed new kiosk as well, in the first bullet.
Right, this wasn't supposed to replace the whole paragraph.
Okay,
That was just, I'm just trying to say that before we began the walk,
see.
we stood there, looked at the kiosk, looked at the gate, talked about, you know, the parking and just kind of the general trailhead area. I mean, you could even say that before we began the walk, we discussed a number of issues regarding the trailhead itself, including the kiosk, the gate, and the parking. You could just summarize it like that, and then go into some of the other things you talk about, like that the kiosk probably should be a new kiosk in an area inside. I mean, I think you captured a lot of the meat of that in what you did, right?
Mhm.
I'm just looking at some kind of introductory sentence that talks about how we stood there and talked about the gate, the kiosk, and the parking before we began the walk. And at the end of the walk, we weren't all together anymore.
No, people had left early. Let me just write this in and then I'll read it out loud.
That's just what I was, something along those lines.
Non-motorized public recreation? Because they use,
Yeah,
they use,
non-motorized public
Yeah,
area.
non-motorized public access
non-motorized public recreation.
recreation.
So this is what it has, the first bullet. The group discussed several issues at the entrance to the property, the future use of present kiosk at the parking area, too small for maps, etc. Original map, blah, 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 blah. And at the very end, also there needs to be signage indicating that the property was protected for non-motorized public recreation.
But we also talked about the design of that gate and how there's this big gap there where ATVs and dirt bikes can drive right through. And that was a big concern of Paul's and I think Celia's.
But that's not something we can attend to. I mean,
Well,
that's.
we can point it out.
No, it just makes, because the gate is designed that way, we don't have to replace the gate, but because the gate is designed that way and there isn't any information about what the intended uses
So-
are.
Right, but in the new
it-
kiosk, there'll be a motorized, prohibited motorized
Right, but the
vehicles
kiosk
or-
is gonna be inside the gate,
Yeah.
so there still needs to be
Need at
something
least a
that
sign on
makes
the-
it clear, just a small sign
Oh.
that says
Okay.
this property is intended for
Non-motorized.
non-motorized recreation. And then you
Non-
go
or
inside the
motorized
gate and
vehicles
there's the
prohibited.
kiosk with the map, the new map and things like that. I mean, I think we're kind of just trying to envision what might be more useful.
Right.
Instead of when people approach it and what they see.
Yeah, no, having an upfront sign before you get in.
Yeah, because there were posts from signs that were inside that said, you know, non-motorized recreation use is prohibited or something, and they had all been kicked over.
Hmm.
But they were well in, you know, they were half a mile in.
It appears that the design of the gate does allow room for some motorized vehicles to drive under the bars.
That was definitely something we talked about.
And I can put that, before the last sentence. There needs to be signage indicating that the property was protected for non-motorized public recreation only. How's that?
Yeah.
Okay. So that goes down here.
How many vehicles do you think could park there? We have several there. We didn't even use that other area over there.
Yeah, well,
We
When it
kinda
was,
just-
when it was first
We have
cleared,
about
it was
5.
really generous.
Yeah,
I don't know what the measurements are per car, per truck, there've been like 8 or 10.
Yeah. But it's our job, isn't it, as the Conservation Commission, to make sure that the parking area and the trailhead area is maintained? Is that true?
No.
Or if not us, then who?
I would say Forest Society, but once they've done their,
We're only the,
They said once they had that kiosk up, it was up
They were
to
done.
us. They were done. So it really does need to be something that we address, with some kind of a semi-annual visit
probably
to.
up to the property owner to, well, or we could, in agreement with them, we could,
We have a management plan that specifies anything like that?
and we were given no charge to do that. I mean, there's opportunity for us to do that.
Yeah. It
But
almost
we were-
sounded like Spinnef thought we should be
Well, yes.
doing that.
But we did
So-
not step up and say, yes, we will, and we are, and here's our plan.
I think what occurred to me, and I know that there were some side discussions about this, was to regularly have some, like, trail maintenance days and
Yeah.
things like that, and that could be, something that we do, and also looking at the general parking area.
But certainly as we move forward with this project, that could be something that has its own legs.
Yes,
And
yes.
then we can get volunteers from Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whatever,
Mhm.
to attend to those.
Yeah, exactly. We need the volunteers to help make that happen.
Yeah.
But we still have to oversee whatever that
Oh,
is.
yes, if that happens, we need to be the ones
Yeah.
to oversee that, along with the landowners.
I mean, certainly in a couple of our adjacent towns, they have trails committees. And, that's something we can discuss in the future too, is should we have a separate
But the reality
trails
is,
committee?
all of us are stretched pretty thin with
Mhm.
what we do anyway.
Mhm.
So to take on this, that, and the other thing, we wouldn't have any lives anymore. So, I think it's something to address down the road, yeah. But, yeah, it was,
Can
Certainly could
commissions
have been
have committees within them?
yes, like the Trails Committee.
I think if I'm not forgetting, if I'm not misremembering this, I think that Barrington has a separate trails committee that isn't just made up of people from the Conservation Commission.
Right, volunteers from the community.
Yeah, so it's
Right,
it's
no, that's
volunteers
what
from
I
the
was saying, but
community and
could-
other boards.
Can that be under the commission, or does it
Yeah,
have to
it
be
would have
outside
to
the
be if they
commission?
wanted to conduct business, yes. It was much like the Master Plan Committee.
Yeah.
That had members from municipal groups and people from the public. How are we doing on this?
just one question, what is on the back page, the third bullet, that CBH, I'm kind of confused.
That was something that Chest, that's what something that I had, Celia corrected it to be this. And I don't know what it means. Chest, blah, blah. I thought it was DBH myself, but. How about if I just strike it? Somebody seems to know what it is.
That's fine with me.
Okay, gone.
And I know it's usually measured when they're doing it for,
Black guns.
oh, I don't know about that, but for the trees that you need to leave in that 50-foot setback from the water's edge. That measure, you have to be
For the
measured
wet-
about chest
wetlands?
height.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It has to do with where you measure it.
But I just can, CBH doesn't, it's not clicking in for me.
Yeah.
We can. And actually, for this particular one, it doesn't really matter where it's taken. Although there's probably preferred height, I guess.
Are you looking for edits?
Sure.
Just on the first page, there's two misspellings.
Uh-oh.
Device for devise.
Where are you?
Demerit, Katowski, and Abrams took photos along the way.
Oh, device with an S. Yeah.
Device with a C.
Oh, device with a C. It is with a C.
Am I on the right one? Mulligan easement.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Demerit, Katowski, and Abrams took photos.
You know what I did? I took,
You already corrected them?
edits from Celia,
Oh,
and I
okay.
changed things.
Oh, okay.
So,
And
it's,
cellar hole near top of rise.
yes, I changed that. And she was the one that suggested the CBH. I'd put DBH.
Yeah, I was gonna say DBH
Right.
is the term that's really
But she
used.
corrected it to CBH, so it might be a new,
I have never heard that
I
used,
haven't
and I
either.
took a timber harvesting course, but anyway,
so we'll just strike it.
we could just say I have a 54-inch circumference, that's the diameter of
Yeah.
18 inches at chest height, breast height. And spotted a black racer snake.
Diameter would be more than that.
What appeared to be a black racer's thing.
Black racer snake,
Got it?
just about 4 to 5 feet long line alongside the trail, black.
54 divided by 2.54. Right?
Yeah, we did the math.
54 divided by 3 is 18, right?
That black racer, remember?
3.14, okay, 3.14, that's close enough there, I guess, all right. All right, black racer,
And it was a black racer, I mean, we ID'd that.
It was?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, I saw photos that were very clear that that was a black racer, and they are 3 to 5 feet long. And they nest, they lay their eggs right near downed trees. Remember how that downed
Yes.
tree was right there?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Protecting a nest, so that's good.
okay.
Let's see, August 7th.
Anything else?
very good.
That was the 3.55 according to your Fitbit.
That's true. That's true, we were logging it. You know, there's a little bit, if you look at, Celia's maps of our route, sometimes we go off a little bit over to
Yeah.
the side and everything. So if you would actually do the straight line distance or just without veering off the trails,
Those were the steps you
Yeah,
Yeah,
took.
we didn't want
It
Rob
would be a little bit
looking at
less.
this and that, yeah.
but, yeah, it
I
was a
think
really
we
nice
walked that a
walk.
long time ago, didn't we walk that property?
Well, walk some of it, yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed both walks a
I mean,
lot.
some of these areas look familiar, sound familiar.
Okay,
All
any
right.
other corrections?
Mm-mm.
I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the easement, of the Mulligan Forest easement walk on August 7th, 2017, as amended.
Looking at me again.
Yeah, I've already got you down, Liz.
Okay, and I imagine Raylene is going to second that,
Oh, second, yes, sorry.
Is there any further discussion?
even though she wasn't there.
Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anybody opposed, anybody abstain? Ayes have it.
One more.
One more.
This is on Miriam Daggett easement walk. 8/10/17. And I'm gonna change it to August 10th.
Do they call that the North River Bridge, or should that be the Freeman Hall Bridge over the North River?
I don't know if it has a name.
Oh, okay.
That's why I kept that small.
I like it, North River Bridge.
Do you want
We'll
it, do you
deem
want
it
it
North River
capitalized?
Bridge.
I just didn't know if it was called, I always called it the Freeman Hall Bridge, but what do I know? I haven't been here half as long as the rest of you.
How about Freeman Hall Bridge over the North River?
Okay.
Then it wouldn't be capitalized, right? It's just
Or-
the
or
bridge
just
on
east.
Freeman Hall.
Or just east of the bridge over the North River. Probably don't have to repeat Freeman Hall again, because we just said we're on Freeman
I
Hall.
think
Road.
Freeman Hall makes
Just
sense.
east of the
The bridge over the North River. And it's good for people to know that is the North River. Leanne Gast was so helpful to have along.
Wasn't she? She's a
Yes,
love.
I have really enjoyed her contributions to the discussion
Yeah, and she
and her
brings,
observations and
but she
her
also
history
sends documents to us,
The
you know, that I've
history.
been put in the file.
for both of those walks.
Yeah,
So she's a
she's great, been
very
great
helpful, and she's
resource.
doing the water quality testing.
Who
So
is she?
she's a,
She worked at the library, or
Oh.
she's a volunteer at the library too, isn't she?
I don't know if
She was.
she's there, but
She's gone. She has a full-time job, most of the time working out of her house
Oh.
on Freeman Hall Road.
Oh,
yeah, she's on Freeman Hall Road, so she actually knows the Daggetts too. The Miriam and Daggett sisters, I guess.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
met them because of her work with the Historical Society too.
oh,
There was a
great. Oh, good.
trunk
I-
found in the
I don't know her.
basement of the house, the main house. And the new owner called it the Historical Society and asked if this was intended to have been left, and she got a hold of the Miriam Daggett sisters, and
Was it an antique? It must
Yeah.
have been.
yes, it's
Wow.
antique, and it was full of old christening gowns and very historic
Wow.
Really?
items that were then, I think,
Rescued.
they were rescued, and I'm not sure what the disposition was, but
Anyway, she and sometimes her husband and sometimes one of her daughters will walk two white dogs up Freeman Hall Road. And then
Oh,
walk
is that who
around.
they are? I
Yeah.
didn't,
all right, now we know.
I'll change topo to topographical. Let me see. 8, 10, 17. Oh, North River needs to be capitalized. Freeman Hall Bridge.
sounds like a great walk. Looks like a wonderful piece of property.
I think we must say the Miriam Daggett River frontage is 3,950 feet in length. Frontage instead of corridor.
No, I think that, well, it goes,
Sounds like a river corridor.
well,
The-
it is, but I mean, there's frontage on both sides of
I know.
it,
Not completely though,
on most of it.
most of
You know, the northern section and the southern section.
I know, it just sounds like it's the Miriam Daggett River corridor.
Oh, I see what you
You
mean.
know what I'm saying?
Ah, I
River
see.
is not the Miriam Daggett River,
The
so.
Miriam Daggett,
River frontage.
property,
I was saying river frontage, or frontage,
has frontage,
the Miriam Daggett property has frontage,
has
has
3,950
feet
feet of frontage.
frontage, some of it, or much of it on both sides of the river, or something like that,
along
the North River.
The North River.
Yeah, the air conditioning came back on again. Feeling a little cool back there, Dale?
It was,
Air conditioning.
I'm trying to give her a trip back.
Oh,
Cuddle up. What was the signpost, noted signposts on
They
West
were
Side?
green,
Is that a,
they were green metal signs with,
Metal posts.
Yeah, metal posts, they didn't
with
actually,
notches in them, much like you would buy to erect fencing.
oh,
signs per se, they were
They were
posts.
just
but,
posts.
oh,
And some people seem to consider that there had been signs on them
oh,
that
but, right,
had
had
been
come off,
removed.
Yeah, I don't know whether,
fallen off
I
or
don't
something.
remember them.
I didn't walk the property when they had the,
I don't remember,
but we could put our signs on them.
Might want to indicate that we say we came upon the old bridge crossing, maybe say, you know, which is no longer crossable, or something like that. Came upon an old bridge across the river. An old, unusable,
Crossing
dilapidated.
site,
Crossing
A
site.
crossing
Crossing
site.
site, that might be better. Bridge crossing site, yeah, I like that, that sounds good.
east and south should not be capitalized.
We're at the last line there, I think you want a space after
Hmm.
lots.
Where are we?
Very between map 19, lots 2 and.
Oh, yeah, I need
Just
a
need a
okay.
space before that. Wait a second. The road frontage is not 0.98 feet.
What?
On the next, top of the next page, it says the tax map indicates that the road frontage is 0.98 feet.
It's less than a foot.
That'd be less than a foot.
Awful small road frontage.
I have the map. I did, I think I just copied it as it was.
Must be, I
think
don't
you're
remember what it was. That number does stick out, but it wasn't the,
This is all Mary.
wasn't,
You're talking this frontage here?
yeah, that would
I
be
have
less
the
than a
tax
foot.
map.
Okay.
It just says 0.98. Oh, 86 feet. It was upside down.
Yeah, we're like, it was quite a bit, long. Okay,
Why did
86
they-
feet.
Yeah, it was 86 feet.
Oh,
Good eye. 86 feet. 86 feet. Isn't that something?
Actually, Leon stayed with us until we got down to, oh, wait, no, okay. They left at 11,
Well,
okay.
Paul left
Never mind.
earlier,
Yeah,
but
then he came back.
then he came back, so I didn't
three.
even make a note of
Okay,
that.
okay.
It's where it says at the entrance to the recycling center, just capitalize recycling. Third bullet down on the second page.
Oh, yeah.
does Freeman Hall Road really become Freeman Hall Street?
Actually, there was not a single sign that says Freeman Hall Road on it. They all say Freeman Hall
Just Freeman
Street.
Hall.
No, they all say Freeman Hall
That has been
Street.
Freeman Hall Road ever since we moved here.
Yeah.
When did it get changed
Everybody calls
to
it Freeman
street?
Hall Road, but
I know.
every sign,
I know.
actually says
We noticed
street.
that years ago, and it was like, when did it become street?
I noticed that on our
would've-
walk. I kept looking.
911, maybe they did
Oh, maybe
that.
they changed it
With the
from road
signage.
to street?
They all say street on them.
I don't think it's,
ST.
I mean, you know, there were signs in Barrington still for Province Road.
Well, I don't know, but it's just the signposts do say street on
No,
them.
but I've been looking at this because it says reaching Freeman Hall Road, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, that
Oh,
makes
that's what we all
sense.
call it.
But the signs
heard
say
of it.
Freeman,
I've
Cross
never,
Street.
I've
I
never.
saw
know,
two of
but
the
that's what
signs
those-
on that walk. I looked up and went, street. And then we got to another one up by Guile Road, I guess it was, wasn't it? Isn't it Guile that
right?
comes in there?
Garland Road, it says street,
Garland.
and the one down
No,
at
not
Priest
Garland.
Road.
What comes in right near the bridge?
Kennard.
Well, no.
Is that
Jabig.
Jabig?
No,
Jabig.
Priest
Oh,
and
too big.
Jabig.
Oh,
Yeah,
Was it
anyway, if you
there?
look at those junctions where there's a sign for Freeman Hall,
there's one at
It
Priest
says
Road, I know, and there's
ST.
one at Garland Road.
instead of RD,
What is it down at Route 152?
ST.
Is it?
I looked at it the other day when I went to the
It's road
dump. I
somewhere.
pointed it out to Ed. I said, I never noticed that, did you? He said, no.
Often wondered how it got changed. All right.
Probably whoever made the sign made the change.
Yeah, probably made a mistake.
Could be.
So are we settled with this?
C.
I have to say, thank you, Sue, for taking such careful notes of our walk.
While you were walking, no less.
Yes, she was not
I'm
only,
impressed.
she's not only involved with what we were seeing and helping to direct where we were going, but she was also taking notes the whole way, so I'm pretty impressed. And then she typed them up, too.
And she
Okay.
could even read her
I'll
own
submit
writing.
my, hours,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been a big week, a big month already. Good thing you're getting out of town.
oh, yeah. I think I spent
God knows what we'd put on your shoulders.
like 2 solid days just doing these.
Okay, is there any other errors or omissions? If not,
I move.
You move.
Raylene, you first.
Oh, is Sam been moving all along?
No.
I'll second, but
Only.
with reservations about Freeman Hall Road versus
Okay.
Freeman Hall Street.
I'm not gonna put street down.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, somebody needs to,
Okay.
we'll bring it up to
Any other?
Chris and see
any
if he
other
can talk to the
comments?
highway department.
Any other discussion about the minutes? All
4.
those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? The ayes have it.
Is that it?
Okay, now, a couple other things we ought to do. We're probably scheduled to do our third, I don't know how bad the road looks out there. Roadside cleanup.
Don't we normally do it in October?
Well, we do one in October, we generally do one in August, too.
Oh,
I think my August calendar's full, Sam. But I will tell you that
What about
my
September?
neighbor, Peg Tucker,
Yeah.
who came and helped us one time, she contacted me and said she'd be more than happy to help all the time. So,
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Okay.
you know, whenever it's
Yeah.
on a day that she could make it. So she
Yeah.
said she enjoys doing them.
Okay, I did send an email to Allison, and she just got back from Florida, and school is starting in a couple of weeks in Raymond, and so
She's pretty tied up.
pretty tied up for now, so she will not be making
Clean up.
the cleanup in the near future, anyway.
Well, what can we schedule for September?
We could.
Particularly when we're not having Nottingham Day, we could schedule on a Saturday.
I thought we tried to stay away from
Yeah.
Saturday because of the people traveling to the recycling center.
Well, I could do the 5th, 6th, or 7th of September.
Let me get that.
Anybody has one of those
Yeah.
dates free?
And either.
Where are we here?
I don't
Have
have
your
my,
calendar?
I don't have any of my calendars with me.
Do you want to
Yeah.
set it for the 5th and then
What are the days?
Tuesday,
Tuesday,
Wednesday,
Wednesday,
and Thursday.
Thursday?
Tuesday's the 5th, that's the day
Yeah.
after Labor Day. Then there's the 6th is a Wednesday, the 7th is a Thursday.
Any of those should be all right.
All right. So we tentatively, sorry for the yawns. I'm working in the garden.
Yeah.
Contagious.
So we're gonna do 8:30 on One-
9 o'clock?
Wednesday?
About 9
You
o'clock?
want 9 o'clock or
How about
8:30? Randy?
Wednesday?
8:30 is fine.
How about Wednesday?
That gives us a day in case,
I'm sorry, Randy, what? 8:30, 9?
Wednesday, 8:30, Wednesday.
8:30 is good for you?
8:30. What's that?
It's always a toss-up whether
can you get the
Get done
equipment
early.
by
Oh, yeah.
then, Sam?
I think so. It'll be the first time that I've had to deal with the state shed, but if I call them early enough Tuesday, I should be able to pick it up on Wednesday morning.
Okay, that sounds good. Call them Tuesday, pick it up Wednesday. Rain date is
If,
7, in case the 6 doesn't work.
Okay.
I'll let you know, I'll send you a note if,
Okay.
so it's Wednesday, September
6th.
And will you contact Peg Tucker?
I will,
Okay.
30,
absolutely will.
roadside.
September.
Let the rest of the
Okay.
commission know as well.
What about future trail walks?
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone was kind of saying, just schedule it, and then, and Celia had mentioned liking to go through the recycling center property and Tasker.
kind of coming through that way, just to see how these all connect together.
I was thinking if we go in, on that Woods Road that we thought we were gonna come out on, and go down there, we can go down and actually don't even have to, we can walk alongside the recycling center if we can find out where the line is, and then we can, there's a section there where we can just, go into the Tasker property.
Yeah, we only really did half the length of Miriam Daggett.
Oh, it could be, I don't know.
Yeah, when you look at the map, we went in and then kind of backtracked.
Yeah,
We can go.
well, we came down quite a ways on the river.
I probably can't do anything till September at this point, so
Yeah, we're pretty busy too.
I know you're gonna be away, so.
Do you wanna hold off on that till the next meeting to make
What-
a decision, or?
Our next meeting is going to be, what's this?
The 11th.
September, the 11th. Yeah, I would say, because we've got to clean up that first week,
Yeah, okay.
and so we'll schedule,
And how much more
Yes.
water quality sampling is being done?
nothing into September.
But there are a couple more dates in August?
I don't know.
19th, we're doing the 19th.
You're doing the
Whatever
19th?
Saturday is.
Oh, you and Celia?
Yep,
Yeah,
Okay.
and
Allison.
somebody else is joining us, I don't remember.
Yeah,
who.
Now,
Alan-
is that the last one?
I don't
Well,
know.
I think there was
That'll
one
be the
schedule,
last one.
one schedule for Labor Day, wasn't there?
Thought so. Were you on for that one, Sam?
No, it was Deb and Heather.
Oh, okay. So that would be the last one then. So 2 more coming up.
The 15th was, well, of course, 15th I couldn't do it anyway, because
Oh my
I'm
God, I don't think I
scheduled
did
for
it.
something else. Okay. Anybody else have anything else?
I was
let's
just
see,
wanted to
good.
ask a question about the Nature Conservancy report. Was that anything that was worth looking at, or seeing if there was anything in there of interest?
Oh, I missed, I was looking,
When,
concentrating.
when I was at the breakfast, the guy from the Nature Conservancy was there on water quality. And he sort of gave a brief overview of what was in there, and I wondered if there was anything that as a Conservation Commission, we might want to look at that report, and see if there was anything there that might be relevant.
Good.
Or do you want me to look at it and see if there's anything
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
relevant?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Oh, okay.
Do we need to look at these?
I don't know.
Because they
What if
supposedly we have responses to the Conservation Commission.
Why don't you just read through the cover letter?
Okay.
And,
Okay, and in response to your RFI dated May, this is to Dory Wigan at DES. We submitted revised plans for the above-mentioned project and a copy of an email from Kim Tuttle of New Hampshire Fish and Game. Revised plans show the existing wetlands that are along Route 4 and behind the rear of the, show that the existing wetlands that are along Route 4 and behind the rear of the proposed building. We have also attached a plan showing the approximate edge of wetlands behind the proposed building as marked by Timothy Forda. Building was sited to avoid wetlands along Route 4. The wetlands are proposed to be impacted are a former horse paddock. The proposed building will house machinery that will bore holes in precast concrete structures and is sited for ease of access to the existing manufacturing building and loading for delivery. I have attached an email from Kim, I don't know if we have it. I don't have it. Attached an email from Kim Tuttle of New Hampshire Fish and Game with her comments regarding the threatened or endangered species. Following our responses to the Conservation Commission, we have revised the plans to include the wetlands as shown on RCRD Plan D-34558. I have included a copy of this plan. The RCRD Plan D 30881 is not of this parcel. That plan is of tax map 3, lots 4-2 and 4-1, is located just west of the subject parcel. Please note that the above are listed at the lower left of the parcel as tax map 3, lot 2-2, concrete products of Londonderry Incorporated. Plan, a copy of this plan is also attached. No wetlands have been filled. The proposed dredge and fill area is a former horse paddock. The rut in the photo is from equipment mistakenly backing into the wetland. C, no response required. D, plans were revised as per comments during the site walk. E, no response required.
So it's still, DES is still reviewing the application.
Yeah,
This is his reply, with
yeah.
revised plans. What was the date on that letter?
July 17th, 2017.
I'm just gonna grab that thing.
Very nice.
Yeah, I like those.
I like the way they
Yeah.
put this together.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
You know, rather than make them digitally for all properties, you know. Because some of the properties would just get overrun. You know, so.
I don't know, I
conserving-
think, I kind of disagree, but,
Well, it depends on the property.
I think we should confer, maybe discuss with some of the other towns that have done that. Experiences
Yeah.
before just assuming that it's gonna be a problem.
Some properties we should just not let people in.
Obviously, we're not gonna have people, because there's no grade,
No,
But
no.
every,
No, the point I'm trying to make is that Celia and I and many people do rare plant monitoring every 10 years for the New England Wildflower Society. And as a rule, they don't enter properties unless it's at a 10-year gap, to give the habitat those 10 years to recover from just that monitoring insult. So if you've got rare plants, and I know that John Ternenko's property has some, there's just concern that the more people that go in there, the more habitat gets ruined for these species.
we'll save this for another
True.
meeting, because I have some very strong opinions otherwise,
Yeah,
that are based on science as well.
but
And
also too.
40
Liz,
years of tromping through property as an orienteer,
mhm,
and knowing how important it is. We've always protected
mhm,
areas that we know. We don't allow people in certain parts of
mhm.
properties, or we're not granted access to that, but we orienteer on all kinds of properties that do have
But not everybody
protected
might have
species,
the
like over in
same.
Hancock, the Harris Center. They have no problem with us there because they understand that, you know, we are respectful
Mhm.
of what the limitations are and where we need to avoid
They
it.
certainly need to be.
But I'm saying to just close off properties because there are plants in one area, I think that might be overkill.
Well.
But not all
it's-
people may be as careful.
No, and some people do
Most
go in
people
and
don't even
steal
know,
things.
but don't even pay attention. They're just going for a walk or traipsing through or running
Or
around
just
or,
from ignorance.
right.
Yeah.
Right, not
We would have
not
to do it on a
maliciously.
case-by-case
But
basis.
also too, you know, when birds.
Picking plants,
When birds are nesting, you know, like the Carolina water thrush or whatever it is, that nests along little pure streams, any interruption during the nesting time is detrimental to that. So I think, Liz, yes, we'll need to discuss it another time, but there are some properties that are just really sensitive. But something like this, I think is a gentle way of making these properties accessible to local people, rather than just put everything out on, putting all the properties on the internet. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, it was. You finding anything good in there?
I'm not sure what this is. There's two. That's that. I got a copy of the 2006 map when they put an addition on to the concrete, when they showed this as a separate lot, which is.
Is that where the wetland is?
Yeah, which is, that one apparently was owned, doesn't say who.
Yeah, but I think they had to merge that parcel with this in order to
Oh,
go
here
forward.
we go.
Okay.
Okay, this one was done on. This is July 2003. Why is this? Okay, subdivision plot of land for Jennifer Higgins and Jeffrey Vitra.
How many total maps did you get in the package?
There's, 5.
Are they all different?
This one. That one's marked. There's at least 4 different, I'm not sure about this one. Oh, no, I gotta take it back, I got five different plus. Oh, no, I got 6 different. Well, no, that's letters.
It looks like the back page goes with that, right there.
Oh, wait, no, never mind, this is, no, this is something else. Yeah, okay, I got,
Yeah, it's in.
okay, this.
This is the Shea Concrete application.
What's the,
This is proposed site improvements here. Some of these are old maps. This is land use surveying.
Yeah, this is,
What date was that?
2003.
2003. So those are some of the old maps that showed on,
Well, this one is still 16, and that one is, oh, that's the 2006 one there. Then we get to, this one might be, maybe not. Looks like we got maybe up to 6 different maps here. Let's get those vegetation details. That is the same as this one, except that they got this. Approximately something wet.
this was dated by the land surveyor, July 12th, 2017.
Yeah, on these so it looks like we got 4 different maps that were last updated 7/11/17.
7/12/17.
Hmm?
7/12. You said 7/11.
Oh, these two, oh, so, okay, well, okay, the sign said.
Letter explaining the between these maps, these plans and the previous ones?
And this one has no, this one was just
Because
the.
we're submitting revised plans.
In response to
Right.
communication earlier from Dory Wiggins for requests for more information, quote unquote,
Yeah, yeah.
that we looked at our, one of our recent meetings.
And they had notes from, for Conservation Commission
Yeah, there was-
recommendations on April 7th. And then they, 7/11, they added the existing wetlands.
Oh, yeah, they revised them to include the wetlands.
But they also needed to submit a report from New Hampshire Heritage Bureau on rare species, which they hadn't done. And I think there were black racer habitat up there.
Yeah, there was no on the, you got, oh, she's got the letter.
They say no wetlands have been filled. The proposed dredge and fill area is a former horse paddock. Well, it was, before it was a horse paddock, I believe. Wasn't it a wetland?
Mm-hmm. So, this is the, apparently when that was the,
Yeah, it's unclear what's really different. on these
And what's the
plans.
date on that, Matt?
this one's 2003.
2003. And was there one other site map too? 2003?
2006.
And didn't we make some suggestions that this building be placed away from the wetland and in such a place where,
Well, they're supposed to provide alternate siting.
and I don't think they did,
And
right?
that was something that Dory Wiggins picked up on. So we'll just
So-
see how
so-
it goes, huh?
Yeah, I guess. I think these are the, you've got to look at our letter, I guess, to see what,
What's being referenced?
yeah, what's being referenced. I don't remember offhand. He says no response required to two of them. Oh, well.
Yeah, one of them might be the Black Racer and the other might be alternative sites.
Anyway,
But it doesn't look like they've made any attempt to alter the location of any
I don't see any.
plans, just pretty much to say this is what we're doing, and we're still doing it.
Okay. I'll have to look at that, I guess. Let's see that. Oh, okay, here's the letter from Fish and Game. Check identified the following species in the vicinity of the project: Blanding's turtle, northern black racer, spotted turtle. One endangered and two threatened. It's also illegal to harm, harass, or kill eastern hognose snakes and northern black racers in New Hampshire. All observations of hognose snakes must be immediately
They
reported.
found
to-
hognose on the property?
I don't think so, I think they're just saying it's habitat for,
Oh.
or potential habitat.
I haven't seen a hognose in years.
Who is this?
This is
What-
from
what-
Kim Tuttle, Fish and Game.
Oh, Fish and Game, okay.
Well, there are a few back and forths.
That was June 28th.
June 28th. from Kim Tuttle.
So, who is supposed to then
So that-
request alternative siting?
That's a requirement by DES.
Right, but are they doing
Toma?
that?
I don't know.
Or It's in their hands right now to
Yeah,
evaluate that,
yeah.
okay.
Remember that checklist that Mark West gave us?
Yes, I do.
That was one of them. I don't remember what the exact,
So
terminology
they're
was.
reviewing it right now, and this
Yes.
just was our set to
yes.
know what they submitted, okay.
YI.
So we don't have to do anything in particular at this point. That's, I guess what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
Are we all set, Sam?
I
I
think
brought
so.
this along just for you to file with Best Buy Auto, if we have a folder on that, it's
No,
just-
but we can make one.
because these are minutes that I took, and
Yeah,
then they were accepted at a meeting on May 16th.
okay,
But it should just go in there along with the map.
okay. Anybody have anything else?
Move we adjourn?
Second,
Moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Ayes have it. Good night, everybody. It
Good
is
night.
about 9:01.